Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret is one of the 12 faculties in Universitas 11 Maret, a prominent university located in Surakarta City, Central Java, Indonesia. It has a strong tradition to carry out education and research as well as community services. One of the routine agendas of the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia is International Conference on Social and Political Sciences, or ICoSaPS. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Sciences organized by Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia. We do support this prestigious conference, which is attended by more than 200 participants from Indonesia and overseas. Through this conference, I hope experts and researchers from all over the world could meet and share their experiences and knowledge to have explicit understanding regarding the complexity of the problems. I wish this conference will present a memorable learning experiences to all contributors and participants. With great pride, we present ICoSaPS 2020, FISIP UNS, Leading the Future Society.
On behalf of ICoSaPS 2020 Organizing Committee, I am honored and delighted to welcome you to the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Science entitled Strengthening Resilient Society in the Disruptive Era. Currently, we are facing a global challenge, not only globalization, Industrial Revolution 4.0, environmental degradation, security, world peace issues, but also COVID-19 outbreak. We ought to strengthen the community to be able to deal with the change in the disruptive era, to be a resilient society. Due to this pandemic COVID-19, we hold the 6th International Conference through virtual conference. We have received more than 350 titles of research paper for more than 10 countries in the world. Thank you for all participants. And I really appreciate the keynote speaker for allowing us a chance to experience a valuable sharing. I hope this conference will be an excellent platform to strengthen our concern and effort in confirming sustainable development for future society. We proudly present ICoSaPS 2020, FISIP UNS, Leading the Future Society. Eternally grateful to organizing committee of ICoSaPS 2020 for their best to conduct this conference well. As we have tried our best in conducting this event, we humbly realize that we may still be lacking in some parts. Therefore, we would like. Finally, we proudly present ICoSaPS 2020. Have a seat and wish you an inspiring time. Thank you.
MSE for the speech. Ladies and gentlemen, the second speech is opening remark by Dean of Social and Political Sciences Faculty, Universitas 11 Maret, Indonesia. Honorable Professor Dr. Ismi Dwi Astuti Nurhaini, MSE, time is yours.
The Honorable Rector of Universitas 11 Maret, Professor Dr. Jamal Wiwoho, SH, M.Hum. The Honorable Keynote Speakers, Svetlana S. Petronova, Professor of Communication from St. Petersburg of State University, Russia. Dr. Azhar Ibrahim Alwi, from National University of Singapore, and Associate Professor Dr. Normah Mustafa from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and also all conference guests, presenters, and participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, the distinguished participants, we would like to participating in this conference. First of all, on of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia, we thank you very much for your participation in 6th International Conference on Social and Political Sciences, or ICoSaPS 2020. One of the routine agendas of the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia. We have succeeded in running ICoSaPS 5 times and had publications in international proceedings and accredited national journal. In line with the UNS long-term vision to be a world-class university, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences possesses a vision leading the future society, endless and borderless improvement based on UNS culture, known as UNS Active. FISIP UNS is committed to embody the egalitarian world society based on the spirit of moving forward through democratic and humanist governance. Endless improvement is the spirit of FISIP UNS to improve relationship is embodied an egalitarian world society based on the spirit of moving forward through democratic and humanist governance. Endless improvement is the spirit of FISIP UNS to improve relentlessly and continually without giving up on diversity, religious values, cultural and human rights in embodying the commitment. While borderless improvement in the principle of FISIP UNS to always develop collaborations and networking without territorial boundaries to embody a world society that is universally just and prosperous. This conference is one of the FISIP internationalization program to actualize UNS as a world-class university. In conclusion, let's reiterate our sincere hope that this conference is fruitful for you. We also strongly expect that this forum will lead to some mutual collaborations in the future. Through this conference, I hope experts and researchers could meet and knowledge regarding the complexity of the problems. I also hope this conference will present a memorable learning experience to all contributors and participants. Documented for our future reference and encourage areas. Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
It's me, Dwi Astuti Nurhaini, MSc, for the speech. Next, we would like to invite the Rector of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia, Honorable Professor Dr. Jamal Wiwoho, SHM, to deliver his opening remark. Professor Dr. Jamal Wiwoho, SHM, time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. The Honorable Dean and Executive of Universitas 11 Maret, the Honorable Dean and Executive in Faculty of Social and Political Science, the respectable speaker from Indonesia, Russia, Malaysia, and Singapore, and all participants and invite guests of today's webinar. Allow me in this occasion to invite of attend to express gratitude to the Almighty God, who have bestowed grace and diligence on all of us, so that today we are still given health and well-being to attend the third International Conference on Social Political Science 2020 with theme Strengthen Resilient Society and Disruptive Era, had facilitated by the Faculty of Social and Political Science, Universitas 11 Maret. Human life is an activity that will continuously change in all aspects of life. There have been two major changes that have recently spoken and disrupted with the world. In this present of digital innovation and the COVID-19 pandemic, both of them clear possess extraordinary strength that can overdo the economic immunity of all nations in the world. The respectable webinar participant, as academic and intellectual, the thought circumstances as the result of this two things in certainty is not wrongly of limitation. As academic and intellectual, we still have intelligence and adaptability and face all that in the era of change. Digitalization and the coronavirus pandemic or COVID-19 have actually encouraged of us to open up the process of disruption in various sectors. A number of new changes in people behavior are increasing visible in various activities, including education, market, officer, transportation, health, and so on. Even the value of togetherness, cooperation, and solidarity outgrowing or development where this current era of change or disruption is actually seen as being able to present the world of future to the present. In fact, change will be there forever and will never stop. The acceleration of the disruption process also encourages everyone to make advantage of it so that all activities can continue in the mind of all the limitation and threat of life. We have to remember that the future is always unclear, unpredictable, and uncertain. Expect in various fields previously predicted that a new era of disruption will occur in the next 5 to 10 years. However, since the COVID-19 pandemic, the disruption could be accelerated by 2 or 3 years. The respected webinar participant, one of the right ways to minimize disruption is to make advantage of information and communication technology and adapt a new and unusual method. The government, business actor, and society must adapt quickly to face change, accelerate digital transformation, and undergo to new normal. Digital transportation is a process and strategy of using digital technology and drastically change business processes and services, which will have to impact on increasing productivity. Meanwhile, the new normal is to live a new pattern and lifestyle that he has never been done before. The respectable webinar participant, to conclude this remark, allow me to the acquisition to convey my appreciation and acknowledgement to all of the invited speakers, the organizing committee of the conference, and the respectable to participant webinar. Hopefully, the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Science 2020 can process successfully to produce various intelligent and critical thought and view as one form of our contribution the nation and state of Indonesia in facing disruption. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we will start our plenary session 1 and the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Sciences. This session will be guided by Dr. Asal Wahyuni Erlin Mulyadi, SOS MPA, as the moderator. Before giving the time to the moderator, let us inform you the biography of Dr. Asal Wahyuni Erlin Mulyadi, SOS MPA. Asal Wahyuni Erlin Mulyadi is a lecturer at the Department of Public Administration Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas 11 Maret, Indonesia. Her research interests include public policy, social equality, inclusive education, and child health. Without any further ado, Honorable Dr. Wahyuni Erlin Mulyadi, SOS MPA, time is yours.
Thank you, the MC. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, on behalf of the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas 11 Maret, we are very happy and highly proud to welcome you all to this virtual international conference. More than 300 participants from 11 countries registered in this event. So my hello and regards for each of you, our distinguished guests, beloved participants, colleagues and friends. Again, welcome to all of you. In this era of disruption, moreover, in this pandemic situation of COVID-19, we are all, willing it or not, believe it or not, have to deal with some aspect of life, some new aspect of life, including further influence on technology, social media, humanism, and many others. Therefore, in this first session, in this first plenary session of the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Sciences, under the theme of Strengthening Resilient Society in the Disruptive Era, we are proud to introduce you to our two honorable speakers, Associate Professor Dr. Nurmah Mustafa from the University Kebangsaan Malaysia, and Dr. Azhar Ibrahim Alwi from the National University of Singapore. Welcome to Surakarta, Dr. Nurmah and Dr. Azhar. The honorable invited speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will have about 2 hours for this first session. And it, of course, will be a very limited time. So, please allow me to have this brief information. First, for this session, there will be 3 main parts. The first is presentation from both invited speakers. Second part will be the discussion session, and the closing as the last part. For the speakers, we will give you 15 minutes each for presentation. So we will have about 30 to 40 minutes for the discussion session with all participants. And for the participant, please send us your question in the chat room or Q&A room. Please kindly state your question concisely and mention your name as well as your institution. For all of you, please kindly mute your speaker to avoid any disturbances during the presentation. Thank you. And now, please allow me to introduce the first speaker, Azhar Ibrahim Alwi, PhD. He is a lecturer at the Department of Malay Studies, the National University of Singapore. He experienced a lot about Indonesia, as he teaches Malay Indonesian literature and ideologies of development. His research interests include sociology of religion, critical literacy, and the Malay Indonesian intellectual development. He is very productive for publication. His recent book published this year, 2020, entitled Emancipated Education. I might need a few hours to mention his so many publications, but one that I would like to share here is his publication in Bahasa Indonesia entitled Menyanggah Belenggu Kerancuan Pikiran Masa Kini, published in 2016. Dr. Azhar Ibrahim Alwi will deliver a presentation entitled Toward a Humanized Decent Society to be Resilient in the Age of Disruption. So, ladies and gentlemen, Please welcome the Honorable Dr. Azhar Ibrahim Alwi. And Dr. Azhar, the time for 15 minutes is yours now. Dr. Azhar, are you with us?
should be linked to this euphoria of neoliberalism, right? And you know that the neoliberal schema of things, yeah, had a great interest on promoting this kind of work, this kind of technology, where, well, at the end of the day, it cut the cost and it maximized the profits, right? And as a result, it caused this kind of disruption, anxieties, and dehumanized conditions, right? We need to think about the technology-induced unemployment. I think this is where the point of what we call the disruptive age, right, should address this issue, right? We can't be saying that, well, you know, this is inevitable, we can't do much, yeah, yeah, this is the reality. But remember, right, this is not something that come out of nowhere from the heavens, right? And with all the mottos of upgrade your skill, don't be choosy in finding jobs, we often hear all those. At the same time, we hear that those who having those technology are the one that benefiting a lot these days, yeah, more so in the context of um, what I call it, the neoliberal context. Yeah. All right. So here we see that the capitalist circles, yeah, they are certain in their drive to maximize their market share. Yeah, but for the large part of the society comprising of workers, skill and low skill, are very much subjected to this anxiety to survive in this era. This is another dimension of the disruptive age. Yeah? Then we have here, yeah, along the process, yeah, this is quite strange too. You see, the neoliberal context give primacy to the private sector. Yeah, but at the end of the day, more and more people, right, in need of or dependent on the state, where the state supposed to give a kind of protection to the people, right? Whereas all big profits goes to the private sector. Right? I think quotation here, very short one, I just quote from Tony Judd, who says that when a growing number of people will have good reason to fear job loss and long-term redundancy, that will be a return to dependency upon the state. This is what actually happening in this COVID era too. Right? A few others who are more critical, yeah, on these detrimental effects that allow for the techno-computational capitalism. Yeah? So if the triumph of techno-capitalism will render most of us economically worthless in terms of our labor, the ultimate dystopic conclusion is that we could become disposable to a rich ruling elite. Right? Disruption, of course, is an article fate of the Silicon Valley. In fact, they celebrate disruption. Right? They are the vanguard of new technology, preferably disruption of the entire industries, because that swiftly leads to winner takes all monopoly. There will be big money to be made. And please note that, I'm here not saying what to be anti-technology. I'm talking about one group, yeah, that benefit most from the system as compared to the rest. Yeah. So here we see one posting, just from a reputable journal. It define what resilience is all about, and I think we come across this point almost every day. It is a quality that enables us to bounce back when knocked down by life, which is, well, good. Resilient as a quality of it. But if you look at other kind of attributes, yeah, it is actually serving the neoliberal, the cyber tech digitized kind of economy as compared to the protection of the larger population, right? And quite interesting here, you see the last one, meditate. I mean, if you are hungry and no job, I mean, there is no time for you to meditate, right? This is almost, I think, kind of fatalistic postures here. Bernard Stiegler, right, I think is one of the leading French scholar that deliberated very well on this, the age of disruption, technology, and madness in the computational capitalism. I mean, it was very much in the French discourse. Only in the English discourse take up this point quite recently. I think this is where we need to give some attention. Yeah, if we talk about collaboration, yeah, among university, I think this is one of the departure point. I hope in the future, Universitas 11 Maret could take a lead where regional universities can talk about this at the regional level. Yeah? All right, and here we have Erika Ettelson. Right? Erika very critical on this point. Yeah? A resilient community is one whose people collectively possess a requisite knowledge and skill to meet basic needs, which is good. Yeah, she acknowledged that. Members of modern science think themselves very clever, though we lack even rudimentary knowledge of the biological and artificial life system that support us. Lacking much authentic wisdom and knowledge, we tend to take vicarious pride on the inventions of others. Right? I cannot so much as spark a flame without a match. Right? Being intelligent by dint of my fellow human invention on the convention age. This is much that we celebrate technology, but actually supposedly where the echoes of to be resilient, actually we are not resilient. It makes us less resilient in technology, right? Yeah, so this is, and she acknowledged that amongst the side effect to it, when techno-literacy expand, eco-literacy contracts. Yeah. I think this is what happened, because normally when we deliberate on eco-literacy, we forget that component of the techno-literacy. It has that effect to it. Yeah. And then we have from the critical pedagogy school, Peter McLaren's and the rest. Yeah, this is where a deep kind of scrutiny on the technological innovation, which he says, yeah, McLaren says, a permanent feature of the capitalist relations of production within the network of society becomes intensified around cultivating new consumer by producing transhuman with new needs as countries in the global fabric are turned into giant factory and others are turned into giant fortresses of consumption and so on and so forth. Right. So this is where the what they call it, the digital economy being questioned. All right. And here again, as I mentioned, the notion of resilience, yeah, can be seen as an apologia for the dominative and dehumanized technology and the capitalist interests, right? And this brings us back, yeah, to a discourse which is actually already much deliberated since the 60s, even 50s, yeah, by Louis Mumford, who deliberated on techniques and human development, right? Lewis Mumford says there's a tendency to overlook the human end, which our automatic organization, right, serve to pervade our whole civilization. This kind of like automation, right, digitalization, name it, right? They have this great impact. Just that I would say, this kind of discourse no longer popular. Even students of sociology will not want to read this anymore. This is deemed as dated, whereas some of the insights are very critical ones. Right? Similarly, Václav Havel, just now the one that I quoted earlier, which had critical insights into what the effects of technology on us, um, including Chomsky, and he says here that what is interesting in this disrupted age, one group which insulated from scrutiny and criticism, right? Chomsky's case, they had this technological insulation, a bunch of technocrats, essentially employees of big transnational corporation, right? They are working somewhere in insulation from the public, yeah, to design all policies, because if the public ever gets involved in the process, they may have bad ideas and so on. This is strange, right? And this must be looked into. Okay, and of course we have Enrique Dussel, a Latin American philosopher, all right, which deliberate along the same line. Yeah, and this is a point where Stigler mentioned, yeah, on computational capitalism, which refers to the cyberspace or the internet domain where capitalism operates, supported by extensive uses of data, algorithm, and artificial intelligence, which constitute a new mode of automation. In a way, we celebrate, we say this is good, especially in the era we can order food, yeah, online. Yeah? But remember, there are many out there too of food, they are out of jobs, and those who are employed in the so-called gig economy, right? Their pay is really very low, and they have no social protection, right? And the kind of profits reaped by this cyber digitized mechanism, yeah, is in super abundance, right? Again, Stigler talks about this is slightly, I think I have no time to elaborate on the digital pharmacon, right? On this notion of pharmacology, right? Which he get it from the what they call the Mason discourse, yeah, about the kind of what to, in the Malay Indonesian terminologies, racun atau madu. This technology is can be seen in that way, right? Racun, rosak, madu, which is the honey, which is can be the antidote to all your sin. I can't go much into this, but I think it will be a good way to look at this discourse, yeah, in this amongst the scholars that deliberated this into details, yeah. Next, this is where we see the effects of neoliberalism embedded in our education, such that our idea of resilience could mean docility, adaptation in society when encountering oppressive power. That kind of resilience we don't want. The kind of resilience that Ethelson just now mentioned. Of course, resilience and attribute that we know we to endure this, let's say, pandemic, right? I mean, that is a good point. That's no problem. But when it comes resilience in order to secure someone else's interest, I think that is the one that I think we need to question. The docility and timidity curb any kind of challenge against domination and oppression, the proclivities of resilient education that only accentuate this pathology demands for us to intervene and challenge the dominant ideas. I think this is where institution of higher learning should take up, right, this issue on eco-literacy, right, and literacy to talk back against the neoliberal dominance demands our attention, right? And of course, the last part of my discussion, yeah, will be on how do we see all this, right? Do we like kind of hide ourselves, go into the caves and reject technology? Of course, it's not the case, right? But we need to make sure, our priority, we need to make sure that the kind of technology that we use and embrace are the one that what Eric Fromm called a humanized industrial technology, a humanized industrial society where machines and computers should become a functional part in our life-oriented social system and not a cancer which begins to play havoc and eventually kills the system. Right? I mean, the machine dictates us. Yeah, we become the very slave to machine and so on. And behind that, of course, the neoliberal interests. Yeah, Fromm says this is the some of the attributes and character of the humanized technological society. I can go into details, right? And the technological system today, for sure, had its correlation with neoliberalism that I mentioned about. Henry Giroux's discussion on this is, I think, is amazing, as much as Peter McLaren. All right, and this brings me to what Avishai Smart-Galick about. I'm inspired from this book from an Israeli philosopher who wrote this, The Decent Society. Yeah, amongst the discussion, yeah, that a decent society is characterized by where the institution or the system do not humiliate people, right? Where the institution accord respect to the people under its authority, and it does not hinder anyone from attaining meaningful occupation. In the relation to employment, this is where what Abashi Margali mentioned. It is bad to be unemployed, not because you have no work, but because you have no income. It would therefore be seen that work is the only guarantee by a decent society. Income must be guaranteed in order to prevent poverty. Which means I want to link up, right? The disruptive age where you see technology-induced unemployment, yeah, technology-induced underemployment. Yeah, this is something that we need to uh, think very seriously, right? With all our enthusiasm to celebrate technology, I think we need to be very careful about that, right? Manford mentioned this. Let me quote: "Our station today calls for development of the repressed and dwarfed functions of human personality on a sufficient scale to restore the ecological balance that techniques has disrupted." Right? We know, our system calls for a power man, the profit man, the mechanical man. But Lewis Manford mentioned we need the whole man, right? Which means we must reverse the order of development, which first produced the machine. We must do justice to the whole nature of man before we can make most our mechanical improvements, right? And so on and so forth, right? And again, let me close this presentation by the main core of my presentation. The issue and the challenge of disruption cannot be just responded by saying machinization of technology takes command. I think we have allowed that for too long. And that is real, and we cannot do much about it. If we want to say that, I think there's a passivity that in itself is very disturbing. not disruption, disturbing. Such fatalistic laments are naive in as much as it is dangerous. Our real human resilience in encountering global challenges must now be harnessed and reactivated. After all, the will to be human shall be our greatest achievement. Right? In this age of disruption, it must bring us to that will. And in the words of Manfred, let man take command. Instead of continuing to machinize and regiment man, we must undertake just the opposite operation. We must humanize the machine, restoring lifelike attributes, the attributes of science fiction, but it must be the age of man. The age of disruption, right, can be the antidote to the age of disruption is the age of man, the humanized, decent society that I propose. Right? Thank you. Technology is a useful servant, but a dangerous master. And again, I must repeat, let's not be anti-technology here. We must make use of technology to solve our problem, but not technology dictate us to be less humane and technology that only serve interests of a particular group. On that note, thank you. Right? I hope I'm done with my 15 minutes.
Very thoughtful presentation, and big applause for you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now let's welcome the second speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Nurmah Mustafa. Dr. Nurmah Mustafa works at the Center for Research in Media and Communication, Faculty of Social Science and Humanities, the University Kebangsaan Malaysia. She was the chairperson of the School of Media and Communication Studies, Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, University Kebangsaan Malaysia for 2 periods, from 2011 until 2016. And now, she is the chief editor for the Malaysian Journal of Communication, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Her area of specialization are journalism, visual communication, new media, and media literacy. In terms of publication, Dr. Nurmah Mustafa reached a high index of 6 Scopus and 10 for Google Scholar, and for the citation, she reached almost more than 100 for Scopus and almost 400 for Google Scholar. And yes, similar to the first presenter, I would need a couple more hours to introduce her more. But one thing that I highlighted here about her is that for the year of this year, 2020 only, she, together with her colleagues, published about 12 articles in various journals. And then it's a prestigious accomplishment, I think, for an academician. The Honorable Associate Professor Dr. Nurmah Mustafa, we will give you 15 minutes sharp to present your article entitled The Fear of Missing Out or FOMO on Instagram, a Systematic Review. So, Dr. Dr. Mustafa, time is yours.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes, I'm sure the rest can.
Okay, should be okay. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Universitas 11 Maret and the organizer for inviting me to be one of the speakers in this conference, the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Sciences, with the theme Strengthening Resilient Society in the Disruptive Era. Actually, I'm honored to be part of this sharing session. Okay, as introduced, I'm Nurmah Mustafa, currently with the Center for Research in Media and Communication, University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Actually, I've spent the past few years looking at the impact of social media among users. And today I'm going to present a paper entitled Fear of Missing Out or FOMO on Instagram. It's a systematic review. This is a topic that I think related to this disruptive era. One of the impact of techno literacy, as mentioned by Dr. Azhar just now. Okay, this is my presentation outline. So the first is the introduction, what is FOMO, followed by YSLR, or why systematic literature review, the research question and objective, methodology, findings, and also conclusion. Next, please. Okay, as of January 2020, more than 4.5 billion, or nearly 60% of world's population is already connected to the internet. And social media users has passed 3.7 billion. And it was predicted that more than half of the world's population will be accessing social media by the middle of 2020. Okay, interestingly, Instagram is the leading social platform on photo sharing social media category, significantly surpassed the other related platforms such as Snapchat and Pinterest. As we all know, social media platform allows users to construct an individual profile, to share personal information, photos and videos, to stay in contact with distant friends all over the world, and to stay informed about ongoing events. With this huge number of users and the easy access to social media, it put our younger generation at risk. A growing number of users suffer from negative consequences due to their excessive use of social media application, which can be referred as internet communication disorder. So the frequent use and easy access of social media may also trigger the individual's fear of missing out, or in short form FOMO, on content when they are not accessing or using this application. Therefore, social media use, when associated with FOMO, appears to have some negative psychological effect on people. So next. So what is FOMO then? The concept of FOMO was coined by Przybylski in 2013, who defined FOMO as a pervasive apprehension that others might be having rewarding experiences from which one is absent. You feel anxiety that an exciting or interesting event may currently be happening elsewhere, often aroused by posts or seen on social media. Okay, let me ask you, do you have these feelings? The need to stay connected with what others are doing, the pressure to share the best aspect of your life with others, the need to impress others, the craving of approval of others, the desire to compare with friends and peers. I do believe that in everyday life, you have these feelings. Okay, if the answer is yes, then you are actually having the symptom of fear of missing out. Okay, or in a simple word, FOMO is an anxious feeling you get when you feel other people might be having a good time without you. So you don't want to be left out in what others are doing. Okay, that is FOMO. So next. So why Instagram? Okay, unlike Facebook and other social networking sites, Instagram has several unique characteristics. So there are 5 reasons why people like to use Instagram. Right? So first, Instagram facilitate online social interaction through the use of pictures. Okay, Instagram is about sharing photos and short videos up to 1 minute in duration. Okay, a user can include a comment below the photo, but the focus is on the picture. Okay, that is the first uniqueness of Instagram. So the second is, it is possible to follow people on Instagram who are not your friend in real life. So meaning that you can follow such as celebrities. Okay. In contrast, in contrast of Facebook, connecting with other users is reciprocal, meaning that both users can see each other's update. Okay. So next, the third one is, on Instagram, following and or being followed by strangers is facilitated by hashtags or labels that one can attach to photos. Okay, once a photo receives a hashtag, it becomes searchable on Instagram. Okay, so the power of hashtag. Yeah. Okay, so the fourth one is Instagram offers enhancement filters that allow users to beautify images before posting. Therefore, Instagram posts are skewed toward positive images more than Facebook, which displays status updates that contain both positive and negative feeling. So meaning that in Instagram, you always see the beautiful faces or images in Instagram. Yeah. So finally, on Instagram, there is only a heart icon for liking others, for liking others' photos, and there is no dislike option. Okay, so meaning that there is no dislike. It is just a like, and like. Okay, so taken together, Instagram has several unique characteristics that distinguish it from Facebook and other social networking sites. Okay, so next please. So why do I choose a systematic literature review? Okay, so as I can see, although there are a lot of studies on FOMO, efforts to systematically review this study are relatively scarce. Okay, previous research done on FOMO has been conducted with Facebook and Twitter as the main social media platform. No prior studies has examined FOMO in the context of the Instagram platform. Okay, therefore, the present study filled the gap on how individuals who have the fear of missing out use the Instagram platform to socially engage and compare with others on the site. Okay, so next. So this is my research question and objective. Okay, this study focuses on FOMO and Instagram. Okay, how does an individual with FOMO use Instagram to socially engage and compare with others? So that is the question. So the objective is is to review the existing literature on the fear of missing out on Instagram. Okay, so next. So this is the methodology being used. There are two main databases we use in this systematic review. That is Scopus and Web of Science. As we all know that Web of Science is a robust database covering over 256 field of studies and consisting of more than 30,000 journals all around the world. Okay, it covers psychiatry, psychological experimental, psychological social, communication, medical informatics, clinical neurology, social science interdisciplinary, humanity, social work, social science, biomedical, and so on. Meaning that the coverage is so huge. Whereas the Scopus is the second database used in my review. It is one of the largest abstract and citation databases of peer-reviewed literature, which offer more than 23,000 journals from 5,000 publishers worldwide. Okay, and the Scopus consists of diverse subject areas such as sociology, communication, business management, and also education. Okay, so next. Okay, next is the screening process. The screening process. This is the first phase identified by the use of keyword. Okay, so the keyword used are social media, Instagram, fear of missing out, social comparison, and also mental health. There are 5 keywords that have been used. Okay. After the screening process, I mean the screening by the keywords, there is the eligibility process. Next, please. Okay, so in this eligibility process, where the inclusion and exclusion criteria are determined. Okay, so these are the criteria that being used. So in terms of the timeline, I just only look at the 10 years publication within 2010 to 2020, and the literature type only journal articles with empirical data, review article, book series, book chapter in books, and conference proceeding are excluded. Okay, meaning that I'm just include the journal articles with empirical data. Okay, so only article published in English are selected, and of course within ASEAN countries, and type of access of the journal is open access. Okay. Okay, so the subject area is communication, social media, interdisciplinary, humanities, multidisciplinary, social work, psychology, multidisciplinary. Okay, next. So this is a finding. So altogether, the total of eligible articles within this 10 years time frame is 1,725 articles. Okay, so from these 1,725 articles, only 951 articles were included, which is 285 from Scopus and 666 from Web of Science. Okay, so 774 articles were excluded as only articles that fit the context of the research were eligible to proceed to the next step. So, meaning that 774 articles were left out because they are not eligible for review. Okay, from these 951 included articles, only 7 articles were identified related to Instagram and FOMO and eligible for analysis. This is huge, drastic. Drastic amount, meaning that from 951 articles being included, then there is only 7, meaning that it is scarce. It is people does not often research on fear of FOMO with Instagram. Yeah. Okay, so a total of 5 studies focus from these 7 articles. Yeah, a total of 5 studies focus on social media, including Instagram and FOMO, and 2 studies that specifically discuss FOMO phenomena on Instagram platform. Okay, so so these are the 7 related studies. If I can discuss a little bit, so the first one is from in 2020 from Jiang et al. With the title of this article, The Effect of Instagram Use, Social Comparison and Social Esteem on Social Anxiety, a survey study in Singapore. Singapore, Dr. Azhar? So their finding is Instagram use was positively related to social comparison, which in turn increased social anxiety. Okay. Okay, so the second article is written by Tang et al. With the topic, with the title of Politically Motivated Internet Addiction, Relationship Among Online Information Exposure, Internet Addiction, FOMO, Psychological Well-being, and Radicalism in Massive Political Turbulence. Okay, so the finding is people with more online information exposure have a stronger internet addiction and FOMO. Okay, and the third one is Brown, also in 2020. The title is Fear of Missing Out, Mental Well-being and Social Connectedness, a 7-day social media abstinence trial. So the finding is notification that we always get on our social media encourage social media use and trigger FOMO. Okay, so meaning that notification is something that some people find it useful, and from this research, it seems that notification encourage trigger FOMO. Yeah. Okay. And then one more from Gazjin with his title Relationship Between Nomophobia and Fear of Missing Out Among Turkish University Students. Yeah? The result is FOMO is an important predictor of nomophobia among social media users. Nomophobia is another term which you are afraid of not using a mobile phone. Yeah? Okay, this is roughly the 7 related studies that was reviewed in this study. Okay, next please. The second finding is from these 7 reviewed paper, 5 studies applied a quantitative approach, while another 2 studies employed a mixed method, combination of qualitative and quantitative approach. Okay, next please. The third finding is regarding years of publication. 3 articles were published in 2020, 1 article was published in 2019, and 3 studies were published in 2018. Meaning that there are increasing numbers of studies related to FOMO in recent years. Yeah. Okay. Next, please. From this SLR or systematic literature review, also found that there are 2 themes in previous research. The first one is state FOMO, which highlight FOMO as a state of where individuals felt a strong addiction of phone, internet, and social media use resulted by their FOMO of what is happening on their social media. Okay, that is a state FOMO. The other one is trait FOMO, portray ideal characteristic, lead individual to direct or indirectly compare themselves with someone who they assume to be in an ideal situation. Okay, so next, as a conclusion, as a visual media platform, Instagram has both positive and negative effect on the psychological well-being of its users. Depression and anxiety were the most measured outcome. Okay, meaning that with this from the previous research, FOMO is always associated with depression and anxiety. Okay, Instagram envy can affect the level of fear of missing out in individual. The fear of missing out is a very relevant topic in the current situation in the disruptive era, and we are continuing to learn about it every day. So it is important to know how social media affect individuals' psychological well-being when engaging with it. So next, please. So this is it is me, the presenter. Next, something to think about. Yeah, the internet is not a luxury; it is a necessity. With that, thank you. Back to you, moderator.
It's a very interesting presentation, as we are now in the era, I mean, we all exist on Instagram, become a lifestyle, I think, recently. So thank you again for your presentation, and big applause for Dr. Nurmah Mustafa. Okay, our beloved participants, ladies and gentlemen, we already have a thoughtful and interesting talk from 2 speakers. Now we come to our Q&A session. And due to so many questions raised in this session, the committee helped me to choose 2 questions for each presenter. Allow me to read it for you all. I will give the first 2 questions to Dr. Azhar. Dr. Azhar, 2 questions for you.
Yep.
One is, do you think at the end of these new technologies will lead to nationless world, the world without nation? And the second question is, When humanized, decent society is the option, what do you think will be the best way for realizing this? While, as you may be also aware, it will be related for any other aspect, not only technology. So, Dr. Azhar, we are expecting your response for these two questions. Please.
All right. Thank you, Madam Moderator. Let me answer very briefly. The first one on whether this technology will bring us to this borderless world, or what, I think this is a question from our friend in Aceh, I think I read here where it is, what do you call it? I saw here, sorry, hold on. Because just now when you read, I couldn't get it well. The nationless world, the world without nations, or the world without borders. Actually, the irony is so much we talk about globalization, we talk about the borderless world, but borderless and to who? Right? This is where critical literacy comes in very useful. If you look around, this mantra of globalized world, actually nation-state borders become more tougher these days. It is at the interest of those MNCs, and this capitalists moving around with all their resources and expertise to maintain as such that the world should not be borderless. Right? Borderless in the sense of for their technology, right? But within the domain of nation state, that serves them very much because that comes with licensing, that comes with tax exemption, all those kinds of things. So we need to know who's behind those technology, right? Naive for us to think that, well, technology is the ones going to make us nationless and so on. In fact, if you see today, borders become more and more, not just more defined, become more and more, tougher for one movement to another, right? And we see here how the ruling governing bodies of each nation state are subjected to the very interests of the capitalist neoliberal order, right? The investors from the metropolitan centers, right? They are the ones who dictate the kind of tax regime to be implemented into every nation. So, and the kind of policies to be enacted, right? Just for instance, with this, online learning, let's say, right? I mean, it's useful. We know we conduct Zoom and so on, but do we know how much profits reaped by the investors, the owners, right? All these copyrights, technologies, and so on, right? And it make us think about, at the end of the day, don't be naive to think about, things will be dismantled. In fact, it will be more fortified. Fortified is more, because it serves the very economic interest behind the technology and so on. Right? The second one on the humanized, decent society that I mentioned about. Right? How do we go about it? Yeah, I think there's no one answer to this. Yeah? The realization to make us more humane, more humanely responsible to our life, to our education, to our nature, to our environment, that must be repeated consistently and persistently. That must be done. How do we do about it? We need the balance between this, let's say, even in our education system, let's say, the balance between hard sciences, which covers science, technology, and all those computer things, with the social sciences and the humanities. Right? This is where we need both. We can't just be, when I'm critical of technology, doesn't mean that I'm saying that no, we just throw it out. No, I'm not saying that. Right? We need to temper its not just overconsumption, but how it dictates our life. Right? For example, let's simple. Yeah, I give you one example of how sometimes technology can make us, this dehumanized. I think Professor Norma had done that, right? I mean, the effects to what we call it, the FOMO effects. You have deliberated earlier. Let's say we have money in our handphone, just our handphone. We go by cashless. Imagine we walk down the street, and often at times we sometimes meet friends, who meet people who are out of cash, who in need of money, right? How do you want to, if you don't have money in your pocket, would you be able to spontaneously help that someone in need of real cash just to buy a meal, let's say, right? It's good. Everyone says no. And now, I feel very proud. I buy Apple. I'm just Apple, apple that I eat using my iPhone Apple, right? You feel proud of it, right? Yeah. But then let's look, those people out there who are not in this category of cashless. Yeah, cashless of us. They are cashless because they have no money. That's another dimension that we need to talk about. Right? I think, we need to temper this over enthusiasm that everything can be, can be covered by this technology. Right? Okay. And how do we go about? There are many new fronts, discursive fronts. This is why I think a conference like this bring us, right? A conference normally bring us to a new kind of literary, not literary, the kind of discursive experience, right? Like for example, Dr. Norma, you open, there is this, we take for granted, we think all this, but there are serious people who study the effects of it. So this must be made known, right? But how later on, all these ideas, translated slowly into our kind of seminar curriculum in school. We have many fantastic critical ideas that I mentioned just now, A to Z, all those that I quoted, right? But again, frankly speaking, it's not part and parcel of even our curriculum in school, right? Curriculum in campus, right? We are the researcher, normally one or two that do all this kind of thing, but the rest still have not catch up with this critical kind of discourse. Right? The humanized distant society, right, must take into consideration not just about the issues of this long drawn and cultural religious debate, which is very important too, but the effects of technology. I think this is where our friends from critical literacy, give us important insights. Yeah, I think for now that's my take to this. Thank you.
This question, I do hope you
can hear your voice, Dr. Azhar.
Explanation from him. Well, more question actually raised Dr. Azhar, but let me give these two other questions for Dr. Norma Mustafa. I will read the question for you, Dr. Mustafa. The first question is about FOMO that you mentioned found on Facebook and Twitter earlier, and on your research on Instagram, you found that it's more on negative result. So the question here is, how do you think we should deal with this situation, with this effect? And what is your recommendation for this? Any suggestion on what social media is easier to use without experience FOMO? That's the first question. And the second question is, can you explain us about social media usage on politics in Malaysia nowadays? Two questions for you. Please, Dr. Mustafa, time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the question. Okay, so for the first question, I believe it is from Khalida Shari from Lampung University. Okay, how to deal and what is the recommendation of for not being social media, for not using social media. Okay, so I think this is hard to answer because we can avoid from using social media, right? This is the era of social media. So no doubt we cannot not to use social media in our lives, yeah. But what I can suggest is that when we use the social media, especially the one with showing the photos, the videos, and all the images, we as the user should be what to say? Be a wise user. Okay? Be a wise social user, meaning that you have the self filtration yourself. Okay, so I would recommend that use social media that not having, not showing images. Is that can be done? Can it be done now? I don't think. We love to use social media without having the images. Okay, so it has been shown that Instagram is the most popular social media application. Meaning that social media, Instagram is the photo images social media. Okay, so without having that images or photo, I think you can reduce the feeling of FOMO. But in order to avoid using social media, I think it depends on you as a user. There's no other way of not using social media nowadays. Okay, so the answer is depends on you as a user and what filter the text, the messages that you receive, and try to control your emotion. Okay, and regarding social media usage in political situation or scenario, I believe that all over the world, social media is the best platform to reach the audience, and it is almost the same all over the world. Okay, so it is the most popular social media used in terms of political context. Okay, that's the answer from me. Thank you.
To deal with FOMO, Dr. Norma suggested that we have to be a wise user. Thank you also for the participants who has raised a thoughtful question. And yes, of course, we do hope that you always and satisfied with the answer from all the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, Thank you for your comments and questions raised. It means that this session is meaningful. There are many comments and questions actually on my desk from the committee, but unfortunately, the time does not allow us to have any further discussion. So now we come to the last part of the session. I cannot make a comprehensive conclusion for this, but as a closing word, I would like to highlight from the two presentations here that in this era of disruption, science and technology is developing even faster than society can adapt. So we have to be careful and aware that this all, including social media, that in some cases bring negative effects such as mental problem for the users, influence our future life. For this, the humanized, decent society has to be efficient. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and all the participants, and of course our honorable speakers, we really appreciate all your active participation in this plenary session. I believe that all your participation shall enrich our insight and knowledge. Please do apologize myself in moderating this session for any mistake and inconvenience that you might have experienced. And again, thank you very much for your active participation. See you in the next parallel session after this. Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Dr. Nomas, thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, maybe one day, these days when I'm in Kuala Lumpur, I contact you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
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 Nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice meeting everyone. Nice meeting you, Prof. Bye.
Bye.
Check. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the plenary session 1, which was guided by Dr. Wahyuni Erlin Mulyadi, SOS MPA. Thank you very much, Dr. Wahyuni Erlin Mulyadi, SOS MPA. Now, we will start our parallel session. That session will be guided by Honorable Reza Dian Akbar, SIP MSc in Room 1, and Honorable Bintang Indra Wibisono, SHUB in MA in Room 2 as the moderators. Let us inform you the biography of Reza Dian Akbar and Bintang Indra Wibisono. Reza Dian Akbar, SIP MSc, is a lecturer at Department of Sociology, Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas 11 Maret, Surakarta. His research interest includes political sociology, Islam and politics in Indonesia, and social movements. Bintang Indra Wibisono, SHUB in MR, is a lecturer at the Department of International Relations of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas 11 Maret, Surakarta. His research interest includes humanitarianism, non-traditional security, public democracy, and digital diplomacy. To the honorable moderator in each room, the time is yours.
Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret is one of the 12 faculties in Universitas 11 Maret, a prominent university located in Surakarta City, Central Java, Indonesia. It has a strong tradition to carry out education and research as well as community services. One of the routine agendas of the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia is International Conference on Social and Political Sciences, or ICoSaPS. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Sciences organized by Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia. We do support this prestigious conference, which is attended by more than 200 participants from Indonesia and overseas. Through this conference, I hope experts and researchers from all over the world could meet and share their experiences and knowledge to have explicit understanding regarding the complexity of the problems. I wish this conference will present a memorable learning experiences to all contributors and participants. With great pride, we present ICoSaPS 2020, FISIP UNS, Leading the Future Society.
Of ICoSaPS 2020 Organizing Committee, I am honored and delighted to welcome you to the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Science entitled Strengthening Resilient Society in the Disruptive Era. Currently, we are facing a global challenge, not only globalization, Industrial Revolution 4.0, environmental degradation, security, world peace issues, but also COVID-19 outbreak. We ought to strengthen the community to be able to deal with the change in the disruptive era, to be a resilient society. Due to this pandemic COVID-19, we hold the 6th International Conference through virtual conference. We have received more than 350 titles of research paper for more than 10 countries in the world. Thank you for all participants. And I really appreciate the keynote speaker for allowing us a chance to experience a valuable sharing. I hope this conference will be an excellent platform to strengthen our concern and effort in confirming sustainable development for future society. We proudly present ICoSaPS 2020, FISIP UNS, Leading the Future Society.
Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret is one of the 12 faculties in Universitas 11 Maret, a prominent university located in Surakarta City, Central Java, Indonesia. It has a strong tradition to carry out education and research as well as community services. One of the routine agendas of the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia is International Conference on Social and Political Sciences, or ICoSaPS. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Sciences organized by Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia. We do support this prestigious conference, which is attended by more than 200 participants from Indonesia and overseas. Through this conference, I hope experts and researchers from all over the world could meet and share their experiences and knowledge to have explicit understanding regarding the complexity of the problems. I wish this conference will present a memorable learning experiences to all contributors and participants. With great pride, we present ICoSaPS 2020, FISIP UNS, Leading the Future Society.
Of ICoSaPS 2020 Organizing Committee, I am honored and delighted to welcome you to the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Science entitled Strengthening Resilient Society in the Disruptive Era. Currently, we are facing a global challenge, not only globalization, Industrial Revolution 4.0, environmental degradation, security, world peace issues, but also COVID-19 outbreak. We ought to strengthen the community to be able to deal with the change in the disruptive era, to be a resilient society. Due to this pandemic COVID-19, we hold the 6th International Conference through virtual conference. We have received more than 350 title of research paper from more than 10 countries in the world. Thank you for all participants. And I really appreciate the keynote speaker for allowing us a chance to experience a valuable sharing. I hope this conference will be an excellent platform to strengthen our concern and effort in confirming sustainable development for future society. We proudly present ICoSaPS 2020, FISIP UNS, Leading the Future Society.
Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret is one of the 12 faculties in Universitas 11 Maret, a prominent university located in Surakarta City, Central Java, Indonesia. It has a strong tradition to carry out education and research as well as community services. One of the routine agendas of the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia is International Conference on Social and Political Sciences, or ICoSaPS. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Sciences organized by Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia. We do support this prestigious conference, which is attended by more than 200 participants from Indonesia and overseas. Through this conference, I hope experts and researchers from all over the world could meet and share their experiences and knowledge to have explicit understanding regarding the complexity of the problems. I wish this conference will present a memorable learning experiences to all contributors and participants. With great pride, we present ICoSaPS 2020, FISIP UNS, Leading the Future Society.
Of ICoSaPS 2020 Organizing Committee, I am honored and delighted to welcome you to the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Science entitled Strengthening Resilient Society in the Disruptive Era. Currently, we are facing a global challenge, not only globalization, Industrial Revolution 4.0, environmental degradation, security, world peace issues, but also COVID-19 outbreak. We ought to strengthen the community to be able to deal with the change in the disruptive era, to be a resilient society. Due to this pandemic COVID-19, we hold the 6th International Conference through virtual conference. We have received more than 350 title of research paper for more than 10 countries in the world. Thank you for all participants. And I really appreciate the keynote speaker for allowing us a chance to experience a valuable sharing. I hope this conference will be an excellent platform to strengthen our concern and effort in confirming sustainable development for future society. We proudly present ICoSaPS 2020, FISIP UNS, Leading the Future Society.
Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret is one of the 12 faculties in Universitas 11 Maret, a prominent university located in Surakarta City, Central Java, Indonesia. It has a strong tradition to carry out education and research as well as community services. One of the routine agendas of the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia is International Conference on Social and Political Sciences, or ICoSaPS. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Sciences organized by Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret Indonesia. We do support this prestigious conference, which is attended by more than 200 participants from Indonesia and overseas. Through this conference, I hope experts and researchers from all over the world could meet and share their experiences and knowledge to have explicit understanding regarding the complexity of the problems. I wish this conference will present a memorable learning experiences to all contributors and participants. With great pride, we present ICoSaPS 2020, FISIP UNS Leading the Future Society.
Of ICoSaPS 2020 Organizing Committee, I am honored and delighted to welcome you to the 6th International Conference on Social and Political Science entitled Strengthening Resilient Society in the Disruptive Era. Currently, we are facing a global challenge, not only globalization, Industrial Revolution 4.0, environmental degradation, security, world peace issues, but also COVID-19 outbreak. We ought to strengthen the community to be able to deal with the change in the disruptive era, to be a resilient society. Due to this pandemic COVID-19, we hold the 6th International Conference through virtual conference. We have received more than 350 titles of research paper from more than 10 countries in the world. Thank you for all participants. And I really appreciate the keynote speaker for allowing us a chance to experience a valuable sharing. I hope this conference will be an excellent platform to strengthen our concern and effort in confirming sustainable development for future society. We proudly present ICoSaPS 2020, FISIP UNS Leading the Future Society.
Faculty of Social and Political Sciences of Universitas 11 Maret is one of the 12 faculties in Universitas 11 Maret, a prominent university